So our theme today will focus around the threefold structure, which is something that you're all familiar with. And in particular, what I want to dwell on is that we use each part of our threefold structure clearly. So our threefold structure divides the body into three parts. We've got our leg region. And with our legs today, we're going to really work quite willfully. We're going to use our willpower. We're going to work with our legs in quite a determined way. The middle part of the body is, in most of the positions that we're going to do today, will be this region, the solar plexus. And we could describe this region as being the center, the start of where our movements come from. And then the third region, which you'll all be familiar with, is the head. And the head is the region where we need to have space to think. So I'd like to make sure that we have a clear division into these three sections, particularly that we are aware of this division. That's the important thing. It's not just about dividing up these sections, but it's about being conscious that we have three different regions of the body doing different things all at the same time. And it's that consciousness that can really open up for us a feeling of space, a feeling of freedom, a feeling of openness. So we'll start in a standing position. And I'd like to start with some leg dynamic exercises. We're going to use the legs quite powerfully today. So we can start by moving the legs in just taking some good active steps. You can really press down with one leg and lift the other leg up quite strongly and firmly to get the feeling of really moving them, big giant footsteps. Good active steps, squeezing your knee high up. And you can do it with the thought that I can use my legs. My legs have their own ability to really work. Very often we kind of swing our legs along and don't actually take hold of them. Let's do some real kicks. A good step and really kicking up. Really working. Down and right up. Once again on each side. If you're upstairs, you can stamp on the person underneath. Do some movements backwards as well. We can take a step. And this time we have to lift up and grow into that back leg. So you find a real tightening in your sacrum. And then on the other side, a step down and lifting into that back leg through the lower back and the buttock. Once again, a step down, lifting actively back, and then the other side. Okay, good. Just shaking your legs out a little bit, swinging them a bit, and the other side. Nice, active, alive legs. Okay, let's come next to the sun prayer. So, having worked our legs, let's take our awareness to this solar plexus region, which I've described as being the start of our growth. In the sun prayer, we can really grow up outwards from this region. Let's take your feet together and take your hands together. Take the arms gently up, but actively stretch out of your solar plexus. Take the hands down by the sides and bend forwards. Take the right foot back, grow into both your legs. And now once again, out of the sun prayer, out of the solar plexus, lifting up high. Then come into the plank. Knees down, chest down, face down, and slide along the ground. And the cobra. Using the solar plexus, you can direct your chest forwards. Downward dog. Right foot forward, a good growing into your legs, lifting from the solar plexus and streaming up through the arms. Other foot forward, looking down. Come up once again. From the solar plexus, you lift, you stream up through, and take the hands down. Make sure your breath is flowing. Once again, awareness at the solar plexus is the starting point of our growth upwards. Come forwards. Take the left foot back. Growing quite actively into the legs, lifting from the middle. Solar plexus is the starting point for the growth. Come into the plank. Knees down, chest and forehead down. Cobra. Downward dog. Left foot forward. From the center, streaming up right through to the fingertips. And the other foot forward. Come right the way up and grow. And take the hands down. Let's focus a little bit on our top region, the region of space. We can imagine that our head is surrounded by space. The head is the region where our thinking happens. And we all know the difference between whether our thinking feels terribly cluttered and confused and as if we haven't got the space to think freely, or as if we can feel that there is a lot of space in and around our head and we can form each thought in a very clear and ordered way. We can create that kind of space in yoga. We can create that mental space by imagining that we're surrounded. You can do these arm movements. Imagine that you're surrounded. Your whole head is surrounded by free, open, clear space. And you can let your breath just naturally follow the movements in whatever way comes naturally. So we can find space around our head and also space in our breathing. Our breathing will always reflect our whole attitude of soul, our whole attitude of the way that we think, the way that we feel, our willpower. All of these things will reflect in the quality of our breath. And we can allow that attunement to happen very naturally. Take the hands down. Let's do another round of the sun prayer. And let's really bring this more spacious element into the sun prayer. Firm feet and legs, hands together. The movement begins to grow from the solar plexus up into the space. Take the hands down. Good lengthening through your legs and through your back. Now step back with the right foot and make a really good base with your legs. Lift from the solar plexus and stream up into that open space. Remember, space around your head. Come into the plank. Take the knees down. Hollow the back, face down, slide along the ground. Open into the cobra. Good movement forwards with your rib cage. Long triangle, bottom right up high. Right foot forward. Again, really grow actively into the legs. We can really use the legs by pushing them outwards. Then we have a better base out of which we can grow with the solar plexus and stream up into the space. Then the other foot forward, looking down towards the ground. And come freely up. Firm feet and legs, growing from your middle. Opening up space around your chest and your head. And the hands down. Once again, hands together. Good active Movement up, firm feet and legs. Growing out of the center up into the space. Take the hands down, look down towards the ground. Left foot back. Really stretching between the two legs, lifting out of the rib cage. Find that free openness. And the plank. Knees down, hollow the back, chest and forehead down. Open into the cobra. Push into the downward dog. Left foot forward. Growing upwards. And right foot forward. Come on once again. Lengthen. Stream up. And take the hands down. Right. So we'll come to the dancer. So with the dancer, we grow out of the solar plexus. We need to use our legs. We also need to find a sense of openness around the front of the body. So we could say we have a threefold structure in this position. Would you like to take hold of one ankle? And be aware of this center here. It's important not to collapse, but that we've got a good feeling that this is our center, that we're held from there. And take one arm up so that as if the space is opening up around your chest and around your head. You can keep the tips of your fingers very light, the face relaxed, and just be aware of that breath coming and going. By raising up one arm, we're opening the front of the body and we're opening the space around us. Let's come down to the other side. Place your foot firmly on the ground and take the other foot. Be aware of your stability in your center. And now as you open that arm, you can experience how with your chest opening, the breath can open. The whole space around you seems to open up. And lower the arm again. So let's build a little bit more activity into it this time. The activity comes out of the center into both directions. I'll just demonstrate this so that you can see it clearly. This, maybe I'll do it on the other side, might be better. So this is our starting point. We have that openness above, and the movement is going to come from the center. We grow back. It's really with the leg. It's not a pulling with the arm. It's the leg itself pushes back. The arm just holds it in place. And on this other end, there's a growing upwards. So we're growing really in the two directions out of the center. So a stronger activity this time. So raise one foot. Be aware of your middle. Take the arm lightly up into that open space. And now out of the middle, you can start to lengthen backwards into the leg and also upwards through the upper spine so that you open the chest. Two directions out of the center. And keep the breath flowing. And return again. Change around to the other side. Be aware of your center. Firm leg on the ground. Out of the center. Grow backwards through the buttock and the leg. Upwards through the spine. Letting the breath flow. And then back down again. Feet on the ground, soften the knees just a little and roll down and just hang.
Just allow the neck and the head and the shoulder region to relax completely as you hang forwards. And then roll back up once again.
So the next exercise we're going to do is the sideline triangle. So for this one, you need to lie down on your mat on the side. So once again, we have a threefold structure. We have a connecting center. We have active movement with the legs. And then we have a sense of free space above us. So make sure to begin with, make sure you're lying in a really good firm line. You can feel the whole body stretched out and become aware of where your center is. This is the beginning, the central point of the activity. So when you raise your leg, you can twist that foot to point upwards a little bit and then kick firmly up as if you're stretching your leg outwards into the space above, and also stretch out the other leg. You bring a real firmness into both legs. They're strongly active. Let's not worry about the hand for now. You can just keep it resting. Just focus on the legs. Strong activity in the legs. Let's do the same thing on the other side. First of all, make sure you've got a good line along the ground. Your center at the solar plexus. When you're ready, come up with one leg and now really make sure that your legs are as active as possible. Imagine that the movement starts right up here at the solar plexus. So there's an engagement of muscles right through your pelvis and out through the legs. Your whole abdomen is involved in this, really stretching at both legs outwards. Come back down. Let's change sides again. So the more we can find a very good firm leg activity, the more stability it gives us in the position, and that it also frees us up, we could say, in the upper region. So this time we're going to finish off the movement by taking the arm just lightly up into the space as well. Let's just first of all do just the arm movement on its own. Take your arm up like this, with the thought that you're reaching into open, free space. The head is completely relaxed. You can experience that on the head resting on the arm. And there's a spaciousness all around your hand and also in your breathing. So take your hand down again, and now we're going to combine these two opposite activities. When you're ready, you can take your leg up with firm activity, stretching strongly through both legs. Now keeping the head relaxed, take that arm lightly up and you can just finish off the triangle. You can just touch your toes or even your foot or maybe your leg, but that arm in any case is just really light. The legs are strong, the head and arm region is free, and in the center, the position is connected at the solar plexus. Come back down again. Change over to the other side. So make sure you've got a good line along the floor, and let's just start by creating that spacious feeling, taking the arm up into the air, head relaxed, feeling the breath, feeling that element of space around. Take the hand onto the mat again, and now take the leg up and a really good active stretching through, a real firmness that comes from the solar plexus outwards, and then a free movement with the arms. So a real contrast. The head stays free while the legs are powerfully active, and the centering happens in the middle. Breath
flowing freely. And come back down again. And just roll over onto your front. And just stretch out your arms in front of you. Just have a little pause to let your breath flow. And take one arm by your side, keeping the other arm stretched out in front. We're going to work towards the bow, where we have once again the solar plexus as the center. And you can raise one leg firmly up behind and raise up the arm in front. And the back hand lifts up as well. Keep the breath free. Imagine the space opening up around your head. Come back down. Change around. So we have a center. The leg lifts up firmly. And the head and the arm are free in the space. Come back down. So this time we're going to do the movement. You need to allow a little bit more space for this. For the arms, I'm going to swing the arms very freely from side to side. Now the important thing is that we still keep a good feeling of center in our middle. But as we move the arms, they just glide. Both the legs and the arms gliding effortlessly. So if you haven't already joined in, you can do it now. So feeling that solar plexus centering on the ground, come up into the position and then keeping that solar plexus really anchored, you're just alternating your limbs from side to side. Opposite arms and legs. Lightness and freedom of movement. Come back down again and push back into child's pose. So, and then finally you can lie on your front for the bow. I'm just going to demonstrate the bow because once again it's important that this position is really well structured. The wrong way of doing it is to have no feeling of center, a tension in your arms and nothing happening in your legs. So that would be completely the opposite. What we want is a firm, strong center where we feel stable in the middle of the back. It's almost as if we're pressing our ribs down into the ground. We want a good, active, willful movement with the legs. And we want to allow space to open up in front of the chest. So hopefully you can see the difference between those two ways of doing the movement. Take your knees wide apart. The wider apart they are, the easier it is to get your ankles. And in this starting position, just become aware of your solar plexus. It's in the middle of your back, and in front of it, you can feel the bottom of your ribs almost pressing down into the ground. Let the breath flow. The face is always relaxed. The willful activity comes now to push your knees up behind you, right through your buttocks and your thighs, the legs lifting up as high as possible. And then an opening up comes with the chest. And you can have that feeling that the space opens up around you. Breath flowing. Come back down again. Just have a little rest. Be aware of your center. I'm going to do the movement one more time. And this time we'll make a plan to come up a little bit higher than last time, not by pulling with the arms, but by having a firmer center and a stronger leg activity. When you're ready, then the center presses down, the legs push actively up behind, and the chest opens out, opening out to the front. And then we can see if we can come a bit further still. The center presses down, the legs push willfully upwards, and then the space opens up around the chest and head, space to breathe in your chest. And come back down again. And take the hands onto the floor and just push back into child's pose. And come up into a sitting position. So we'll finish with one final exercise, which is quite a strenuous one. But I'd like to, in spite of it being strenuous, we're going to try and stay as lifted and as opened up into the space as we possibly can. Now, this version, just sitting like this, is a simpler one. I think most of you know this position, the sitting balance. That's the actual position. The body will start to tremble. We'll hold it for about 20 seconds or so. The main thought is that we remain with our whole upper body lifted up in spite of the willfulness. So find a good uprightness. Be aware of the heart center, as if your heart is being lifted. Take the arms right up, streaming upwards. And then come up into the balance. Let the breath flow. And think constantly of this lifting, streaming up through the upper body, through the arms. Face stays relaxed. Breath flowing. Stretching out the legs if you can. Keep breathing. And keep lifting. Keep growing. And then come back down again. And just sit up straight. Just experience that sense of openness in your upper body. So what we've worked with today is a good structuring. We've had a good firm movement with the legs. We've had a centering here in our solar plexus. And we've had a sense of free space around the head. And if we can really become conscious of this structuring, we have an experience of space opening up around us. So you can just observe, what is your experience of the space around you now? Having done this session, do you feel more connected with your surroundings? Do you feel as if you have space to breathe? Space to think. So let's finish our session there.